The future of WoW has in store some big surprises if the leaks turned out to be true. The final boss of BFA, or should I say bosses? Guess what happens to all the faction leaders? There is much to see, discuss, and be warned, there will be some spoilers, granted if all the leaked info is actually true. Oh, and you will also get to see how Classic almost killed BFA. Almost. So grab a snack and a drink and watch until the end, because this one is going to be a blast. Why, hello there! How are you this fine day? Man, I hope you had a great week. As great as speculating the shit out of World of Warcraft rumors, because you know 4chan dropped another leak about a week ago, and you and I and him, we have to talk about this shit. So this episode is gonna be a blast, because if all of this leaked information comes to fruition, starting with 8.2.5 and moving to 8.3 and then into the new expansion, man, I cannot wait to go to the future.
And to the future we shall go. The first cinematic screenshot has been posted some time ago, and we already had our dabs on it as to what it could mean for the next expansion, or maybe 8.3, we don't know yet.
Even 8.2.5 could have some shit.
Yeah, possibly. Still don't know yet, still can speculate. At the same time, it could be very well a fake, mind you. A really well done fake if you really look at the graphics, because it does have some of that Blizzardy art, but a fake nonetheless. And hey, even the conference room screenshot about the Shadowlands and all the map zones has been taken some time ago, allegedly 1 or 2 years ago. Enough time for Blizzard to decide if they want to go with that story or not, so they could very well forsake the whole idea and the whole concept. So all of this could just go off the rails. But hey, while it lasts and until it gets confirmed, we can speculate, and speculating is fun. And before our sexy boy Pyro gets a dab at the speculation business, let's do our own and let's talk about this. Do you have any ideas? Is it fake or real? Hit us in the comment section below and let's discuss. So in 8.3, Sylvanas will call upon the Horde to attack Thunder Bluff, no doubt with a pretense of Bane's betrayal, followed by his release in 8.2. This is indeed a clever ruse so that Sylvanas can take Stormwind undefended as the Alliance moves to help Thunder Bluff. As we find out about this, we go back to Stormwind, which turns into a 10-boss raid, some of which are Horde and Alliance leaders. And we kill them. Yep, each faction starts to lose leaders one by one. Tyrande decapitates Nathanos as the 6th boss. Sylvanas kills Gen with an arrow, and we slap Anduin silly because the Boy King is too valuable for the game's cover box to be killed. As the raid progresses, we slowly start killing each other until we get to Sylvanas, the second to last boss, which we finally take down, reaching the last boss, us. And by us, I mean the opposing faction. We are, at least the traitors fools who rolled their characters on the wrong side, the last boss of the expansion, and the encounter seems to be like a little scenario while we dwindle the forces of our enemy, their health bar being a representative of this. As each faction loses their leaders, we will be left standing with Anduin and Sylvanas, one of them killing the other based on what faction you are, with a cinematic following quickly after. Even more spoilers ahead. Apparently this is the end of BFA, and as we all die following our leaders, we end up in the Shadowlands with, plot twist, all of our leaders there essentially not actually dead. The Shadowlands, being our next expansion, has already been covered and speculated upon, seeing the map of the zones some time ago. I have numerous questions about all of this, if it ends up being true. For one thing, if I'm playing Alliance and we kill Sylvanas, how does she end up in the Shadowlands, if she actually does? Isn't she resurrected by her Valkyr? Unless she gave her Valkyr orders not to, that would mean she knows we would all be going to the Shadowlands and meant for all of this to happen so we can take the fight to N'Zoth. It would make a lot of sense, to be fair, and would explain her shitty attitude when burning Teldrassil, which goes to show you what happens when you wake up and not drink your coffee.
Well, if you look close to the screenshot, those are indeed Vrykul ships, and the whole scenery tends to look a bit Shadowlandy dead. And if you zoom even closer, it appears that in this shot here you may distinguish Cairn and Nathanos? If Sylvanas did do a pact with Hylia back in Legion, then this might be the fruition of that. And this being Stormwind Harbor is no surprise to me, as if you read the book Before the Storms, and here is a spoiler warning again, although the book came out for quite some time, nonetheless, you've been warned. Sylvanas does mention to Nathanos that her ultimate goal is to call upon the brave warriors of the Horde once again and siege Stormwind. So some things do add up. It's still all speculation, and who doesn't love that? I don't mind beating Anduin's ass to slap him out of the Whispers, but I'm a bit confused on how exactly will the final raid work as a mechanic, with everyone dying and ending up in the Shadowlands while making it a believable plot twist also. I mean, you could say that the system used in Battle for the Zaloroa raid, where both factions had different experiences in the same fights, have been upgraded to make this work. Maybe you guys can enlighten me in the comments. One thing is for sure though, and this is mentioned in the leak. Ian did say that at the end of the Eternal Palace we will know who the final raid boss is. Judging by that cinematic, it felt weak and incomplete to conclude, yeah well, what a surprise, N'Zoth is the final boss, so boo-hoo. Well, to be honest, it does make more sense in a subtle way to look at the Alliance and the Horde being the actual final boss of the expansion, portrayed by the shots with Jaina and Lorthamar, and all this to conclude in a final battle to death that this is actually more intriguing at least, and concludes the initial idea from which this expansion started, a conflict between the two factions. There is a lot more to look into, so I took the time and placed the link to all the leak info in the description.
On to the current WoW that rolls past WoW, with past players coming back, playing currently the past WoW. Yep, that's classic WoW. Confused? Well, I enjoy playing classic WoW, that fool over there kinda gave up. But the painful truth is that we felt the switch to classic on our YouTube numbers in a hard way. And if we felt it hit us under the belt, then you can imagine Blizzard is looking at their numbers for BFA and starting to panic a bit. While it is true that the same subscription is paying for both classic and the live game, you can understand the possible concerns the live team has when seeing massive amounts of players just dropping BFA, especially with all the effort and content they put into 8.2.
It's been almost 2 weeks since WoW Classic launched, and we already blazed through a World First level 60 and the World First Ragnaros and Onyxia kills, which, hello, was not achieved by Method. The majority of players are now moving from level 30 to 40 forward, as a lot of the initial hype is calming down a bit. WoW Classic remains the top Twitch game to be streamed, and content creators are bulging to do as much classic WoW videos as possible, unlike us who, for better or worse, keep to our guns with BFA class guides and streams and the WoW Weekly News Show. But all this classic frenzy inclines you to wonder, what is the actual impact for BFA here? There are no official numbers, but it's pretty easy to see that a lot of the BFA crowd moved to Classic, and judging by the recent Bleeze moves, it may be a cause of alarm for them. You would think that they are pleased with the huge amount of people resubbing in order to play Classic, but the truth is, however important subscription money is, their main focus revenue-wise from WoW is much more on the services and in-game transactions like faction changes, level boost, store mounts. So, in that regard, there is no wonder they are giving folks who reach level 60 in Classic a free 120 boost in BFA. Well, they did or plan to give it because the original Brazilian Facebook post has since been deleted, but another clue on them getting a bit desperate on the BFA migration to vanilla is the recent price cuts for the Battle for Azeroth expansion. You can get a 40% price reduction for the standard BFA deal and a 28% reduction for the digital deluxe version. And all these can be purchased until September the 30th, which, if my calculations are correct, should coincide with a very close 8.2.5 release, a patch where, among others, you can buy a level 120 boost. Oh boy, if you think about it, BFA didn't have any bit of rest, did it? The launch was dodgy, with poor endgame and classics feeling weak. 8.1 didn't have too much to offer apart from the Battle for the Zaloroa raid, and the Azeroth gimmick system still turned out to be a mess. Store mounts videos after store mounts videos, and as soon as this expansion broke to see some light with the arguably well-made patch 8.2, Classic WoW storms in and kicks it to the ground once again. Maybe BlizzCon will shed some fresh light on the expansion, because at the end of the day, I still love the live game also. How about you though? Do you want better days for the live version of the game? In the comments, baby.
Yeah, no kidding, man. Classic is fun, and I still enjoy playing it. I probably won't be able to dedicate as much of my time as I would for BFA, and I'm basically treating Classic as a side game, and as side games go, it's one of the best. The fact that it's so popular is amazing for the awareness of the game, and we can only hope that Blizzard will take this and use it in the next patch or the next expansion. And by use it, I just mean take the good stuff of Classic with the good stuff of Modern WoW, because let's be honest, we have good stuff in Modern WoW, and make a much better game. Because, like Marcelian said, most of their revenue comes from the in-game shop, however much we dislike that idea. And if things are not looking up in the next few weeks, I wouldn't be surprised to see an in-game shop for Classic. Not saying I expect it, but I wouldn't put it past them. And we cannot talk about Classic without mentioning the World First race and how Method not only lost the level 60 race, but the Rag kill and Onyxia kill as well. Which, to be fair, once they lost one, it was bound to lose the following based on their actual progress in the race. The World First level 60 was claimed by Joker, a little no mage who went ahead and blasted through the content, while the first person at the Method studio in Vegas to get to 60 was Kenny Marsh. But it's not entirely Method's fault for losing the race, if we're completely honest here. The main battle and the biggest boss was the server queues that many found unbeatable. In the last week, Blizzard has been dishing out free realm transfers from the popular ones to the newly reinstated realms, which seems to have unclogged most of the servers, although queue times are still real. But from 6 hours waiting time, we were down to 3 hours on Wednesday. I checked. Boy, it's been a rough week for BFA, I'm not gonna lie, man. But at least on some other sides, there's some interesting speculations going on about the future. Like, I'm actually excited. I wasn't excited at first.
I know.
There was a lot to take in, and it still is a lot to take in, but I think we can work with something.
Dude, I mean, let's face it, man. Because of WoW Classic, we didn't have a lot of stuff to talk about in regards to Battle Pass, so we'd like claw up on everything we got. And this leak was like a week ago. We didn't catch it in the previous On Cooldown show, but we made a lot of time and dedicated a lot of space within the show to talk about it here. So there's a couple of things we didn't touch within the leak, because there's a lot to discuss and debate and to analyze and stuff. So we're still having that, you know, maybe it's not that real and stuff. But one interesting thing, because I remember like Taliesin was the first who talked about this, that they're going to introduce Tinkers in the new expansion.
Yes, the new class. Yeah.
And in the leak, they talk about Galliwix meeting up with Mechatork, and they construct him some sort of device to be able to help the players in the Shadowlands or something like that.
Yeah, kind of like the Dalaran Hearthstone. Apparently they're not dead, so they don't die, so they're still alive. And they kind of
makes a run for it, right? That's what they say.
And Mechatork just comes out of his coma from the 8.1 raid. Yeah. And they kind of make like a transporting device so we can go freely from Shadowlands. I guess this is how they will explain the fact that we will not be in the Shadowlands for the entirety of the expansion. Yeah. And that their efforts combined kind of creates this new class, the Tinker.
Yeah, which, the technology for the Tinkers and stuff.
Yeah, people have been asking for this.
That would be interesting, man. I'm not gonna lie. I would be really interested because I love Mechagon. I think the whole vibe of it yells Tinker stuff. Like if you think of Pascal and all of the recipes and stuff like that. That could mean, that could boil into something of a class. And if the previous speculations and leaks were true, then Tinker would have all three roles. DPS, tank, healer, which would be cool as fuck.
We haven't had that since Monks, right?
Yep, since Mist of Pandaria.
Yeah, and people have been asking about Tinkers for quite a while, and I think Mechagon is a good foreshadowing patch where it tells about what's going to happen. And do you think Tinkers will have customizable robot arms and legs?
Oh, that would be so cool. I would want it to have it, but I don't know about the technology, man. It seems if they would do that, that would imply a lot of new tech.
You know what? A couple of months ago, there was a potential leak and speculation that Mechanomes will be a playable allied race. But if you really think about it, because they did work on the models of them a lot, and it would make sense if they actually turn them into the new Tinker class, and the gnomes and hopefully the goblins. I would imagine the only ones.
Will be Tinkers too, yeah.
Yeah, so probably the gnomes are the first iteration of the new Tinker class, and maybe we can actually make Mechanomes. Maybe Mechanomes will be the new Tinkers. I don't know. Who knows?
it does add up. I mean, a lot of this shit from the league does make a lot of sense, but we still have to be skeptical. But again, guys, what do you think? Do you have any sort of idea on all of this madness that has been happening with those leaks? Leave it out in the comments. Hello there, Patreons. You know we love you. We talk about your finances every video. The guys on Cooldown, sometimes even in the streams. Not that often in the streams because we tend to play with a lot of you. But hey, the Patreons make all of this magic possible. It's been rough times with YouTube, especially over the last couple of weeks. And the Patreons and our Twitch subscribers also made it a bit easier for us, you know, to pay the bills and keep this shit going. So thank you from the bottom of our souls.
And if you want to join our Patreon team and see what goodies we have to show our love for your support, check the details down below the video.
Yeah, man. I mean, you'll support class guides, 2 class guides per week. The new video, which will come on Monday.
Oh, yeah?
On Cooldown WoW News Show, weekly WoW News Show every Friday. Streams all around, streams during the week, streams during the weekend, all of that.
Streams everywhere.
There's a lot to love here. Thank you very much for watching the video. Hope you have a great weekend.
Take care.
Peace.